Welcome to the Retirement's Next Steps podcast. I'm your host, Jill Templeton-Haislip, Global Real Estate Advisor and Senior Real Estate Specialist with Russ Lyon Sotheby's International Realty DeGeorge Partners. This podcast is a valuable resource for retirees looking to connect with industry experts who can enhance your retirement experience. With so many companies, products, and services available, it can be overwhelming to know where to start. Let us help you navigate through it all and find the resources you truly need to make the most of your retirement years. As always, you can join us in person with each of our industry experts for the full presentation every month on the last Thursday at 4 p.m. Our office is located at 16872 East Avenue of the Fountains, Suite 103 in Fountain Hills, Arizona. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get started. Hi, Zach. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Zach, go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
Hello, I'm Zach. Our company is Reavanti, and we specialize in helping with the downsizing and relocation process. Our whole goal is just to help make that transition as stress-free and smooth as possible for our clients.
I love that because moving for anybody is a stressful situation, right?
Even, yeah. Last time I did it, oh my God.
Exactly. The thought of moving is kind of, but I think with folks who are maybe 55, 65 and older, we've acquired maybe a few things in life, so it can be a bit more challenging. Not only that, but it can be harder physically.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about why did you decide to start this business, and then we'll kind of go into the details of exactly what you guys all provide.
Yeah, absolutely. So our family, we started this company up in Wisconsin about 13 years ago.
Wow.
And really the whole goal is we found this need of people who are going through a transition, and it was just very overwhelming, and they had no idea where to start or the resources that were available to them. So my mom was the one who originally started it, and she went to this conference for our national association called NASM, which is the National Association of Senior Move Managers, and they are a wonderful organization. And she realized, man, there is just so much need here, and there's so many great resources for them. She learned about nice little tricks to help them out, and just really as she was there, she just really learned so many great ways to help these seniors. And when she moved here in Arizona, she realized, oh my gosh, there's still this huge need here. And I was living in Georgia at the time, and they were still helping our company up in Wisconsin. So I came here in Arizona to really get our Arizona one going, and it's been really fun to kind of help them and just see that stress go away as we work with them.
That's awesome. I love that it's a family business. So your mom is still very much involved.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
And how long have you been here in Arizona?
So I've been here almost 3 years.
Okay, well you have taken Arizona by storm. You're doing an outstanding job. So in only 3 years, I can't wait to see where you guys are in another 10 years.
So grateful for it, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. So you are a senior move manager.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for those who don't know, how is that different than maybe just somebody who opens a business and helps people move? What does that look like?
Yep, absolutely. And I think sometimes we're confused as movers or estate planners, things like that. So as I was just mentioning, NASM, we have this very strict code of ethics that we follow. I
love that.
So that's one of the key pieces is we go to conference and we learn different ways to help people learn different techniques. We have different approaches when working with seniors. So a lot of times, people will just pack up everything and take it and then dump it off, and that's, their move.
And it's a mess.
and it's a mess. And it's a mess. We're much more focused on the actual client in transition and figuring out, okay, what really brings you joy? What are the items that you use the most often? Those are the ones that we want them to take with them. We do, floor layouts, make sure everything will fit, make sure it's safe. We're very aware of tripping hazards as we're working with our clients. Sometimes people don't think, where is my coax cable? Where is my outlet? Things like that. So making sure that as that move's going on, we've just seen these things so many times, hundreds of times. So we just know the potential roadblocks that might come up or, the things that might set them back. So we can anticipate those and prevent them. And that just helps make that transition a lot less stressful overall.
The couple things you touched on, the emotions involved with it. There's a lot of items that we've become very sentimental to. And so it's good to have a partial third party come in and be like, but do you really need, right? Tell me, how do you kind of handle that process? Because it is emotional for people.
Right, and it's never easy. It's definitely a tough process. And as we're working with our clients, we really try to help encourage them and just give them some options. At the end of the day, they are the one in charge, and we're really just there to offer some guidance. But really, just trying to frame it in a way that keeps them on track with the big picture in mind is usually helpful. So. And trying to reframe it, you're not getting rid of these things. You cherish them for decades, and and now we have the opportunity to extend the life, and we try to help sell and donate items. We work with some really wonderful charities, and just reminding them that this is going to go to another home, or it can be loved for another few decades, right? And
that's a great perspective.
And it really, sometimes when you just frame it right, and they really, it resonates with them knowing, okay, this item is really, I loved it for so long, and now someone else can too, and they really need it, and they're really excited. So, and then usually when they get to a new spot, they're, oh, okay, this feels nice. I'm only surrounded by the things that really mean the most to me, and really bring me joy. I use them all the time, and that's really my main thing. Is what do you really love? That's what I want you to be surrounded by.
And also what you really need, you've touched on. In some situation, folks have moved from maybe a larger family home where they raise their kids into something that may be a bit smaller, not as many bedrooms, or some folks move into senior communities where they only have that bedroom, bathroom, living room, maybe a small kitchenette space. And so it's hard to go from this to this. And so you were mentioning floor plans and kind of you help with that process.
Yep, exactly. So we always start with a sorting process. That's like step one. And we just get the definite yeses, that would be nice if it works, and then the I'm okay without.
Oh, okay.
And usually most people have a general idea of the definite yeses. The maybes is where it gets a little, we'll find out.
Fuzzy.
The extra bedroom bed, sometimes if they're moving to like a 2-bedroom, then they might want one, or they might use that as like an office. But typically, you have your master bed, or if you're moving to a smaller place, okay, I can't take my king, maybe my queen will fit, or they have that general idea. So just sorting with them and doing the measurements. We always do a physical measurement. So we might play around with the little magnetic board that we use, which is kind of fun.
Oh, that's fun.
And they can kind of, mess around with it. Okay, here's my table here. Well, if I rotate over here or put it there.
Okay.
So that way they can kind of visualize it. And then we go physically to their new space and map it out. And then they can really, start seeing it and know, okay, this is comfortable, and okay, I see that this couch and this couch and this couch are on top of each other. Maybe I don't need all three, or things like that. And it's once you see it in person, it starts making more sense, I think.
Okay. Now, you obviously, with all the information you just shared with us, are much more than a mover, but you guys do physically move people's items. Okay.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, really any part of that transition we're happy to help with.
Okay, so from beginning to end. Now, ideally, you would prefer that somebody doesn't reach out to you saying, hey, I'm moving next week. So what does that ideal time frame look like for somebody if they have the ability to, I know I'm going to be moving in the next, let's say, 6 months?
Yeah, I think it's never, ever too early to start that downsizing process, and starting being proactive. It just makes the process a lot more comfortable. It's already stressful, right? So adding a time, constraint doesn't necessarily help anything. But it's sometimes nice just to start small. I always recommend starting like in an extra bedroom closet, some area that doesn't have too much emotion, and you might be comfortable, starting with.
Okay.
But then, just do it 15 minutes a day. Something just small and manageable, turning on a show that you like and going through some papers or something like that, just to start feeling some progress is usually really nice. But I'd say typically 2 weeks is probably, we're getting to that point where it's good to start, start going, just so we can make sure we're not missing anything and just go smoothly. But, we've done same day before, same week before, so sometimes it needs to be done, and it's no problem.
Yes. Well, that's good to know, because situations happen, things out of our control, and so there is that immediate need that can definitely be met by your company.
Yep, absolutely.
Now, I know that you went to college and you got a degree that I think really enhances your business. So would you mind sharing a little bit about that with us?
So I went to school for psychology and neuroscience, and I learned a lot about, different, and particularly stress. That was my main focus areas, stress, and I did research labs figuring out, different ways to help combat it or working through it. And I just feel like I learned a lot of great ways to interact with people who are going through stressful situations, and help them, again, just feel comfortable with where they're at, and again, knowing, okay, I'm going to get through this, and it's going to be a lot better on the other side.
There's light at the end of the tunnel. We'll make it through this.
Exactly.
I think that's really important, because this is an extremely stressful time, and for somebody who's gone through very specific training to help with that, I think that really elevates you and your company. So I appreciate that for sure. Now, you also work with some folks who are going through some cognitive decline phases. Tell us a little bit about how you may handle that type of situation.
Yeah, absolutely. So our staff, every year we go through, refresher courses for dementia training in particular. So we're a dementia-friendly company, and we try to get, all these new tips to make sure that we can interact with our clients who may have some cognitive issues, so that way they still feel comfortable and they don't feel, the sting of the move. They feel like they almost didn't move. That's our goal, right? Is they move into their new spot and they almost feel like it's exactly like it was before. For example, we had this client, and he loves Star Trek, and I always think about him, and he loved Star Trek, and as long as it was on and his chair was facing the TV, he was happy. So one of the main things that we did is, before he came in, we made sure that we got Star Trek turned on for him. It was on the TV and his chair was there, so as soon as he walked in the door, he went right for the chair, sat down, watched Star Trek. Almost didn't even know, and that's the goal is they really feel comfortable, and other things too. Pictures, the way that they're put up, if it's behind the the couch before, I want to try and make it there again.
Sure.
The dishes, is he comfortable that the silverware is to the right of the dishwasher? Then that's where I'd like it to be, or things like that. So that way it doesn't feel too much. There's not too much shock.
Right, because a move for an individual with cognitive decline into a memory care community can be quite a stressful event for them, and we want to try to minimize that as much as possible. So the fact that you guys take all of those extra steps to mimic their current environment is going to determine the success of the individual in their new environment, as well as for the family who's also making that big transition. Right. Now, let's say that you have a couple situation. The husband in this situation moves into the community. Are you then able to help the wife at home maybe rethink some of the areas in her home now that she's removed some of his
and
stuff?
We've done that with clients as well, where they want to sort of stay where they're at for a little while, or just process maybe like her husband moved and she just needs to sort of regain her bearings and things like that. So we've just gone in and just helped the space be a little bit we declutter a little, or we have some interior designing so we can make it look nice if she'd like to do anything like that. So we're really very flexible and just figure out the needs of the client, and then are very accommodating to achieve whatever their goals may be.
You guys are very full service.
That's our goal. That's our goal.
So then what does that look like? Is it a package program where people come in and choose, package A, B, and C, or is it a la carte? What is that?
So, we're designed a la carte. So we have sort of our services, and I always do free consultations to try to get a general idea of, what might be helpful for them, and then just discuss the breadth of our services. So just during that conversation, I figure out, okay, they might need this and this, they definitely don't need this, so, here's a potential plan, how does that feel? And again, they're welcome to pick as much as they'd like. Some people like to start with just a couple things, and they realize that they like it, so they keep going, or things like that. So really, whatever process is best for them, I'm good with.
Okay, so they can start out maybe with a small, hey, help me, go through some things, and then, wow, I do need more. Kind of
Yep. So we've done closets, just offices, kitchens, just small, and then it goes from there.
Wonderful. Now, what areas do you work in Arizona?
We have the whole valley. So we'll go the whole valley. We've even done Sedona, Tucson. So
nice.
Really anywhere someone needs some help with that transition, we're happy to help.
Okay, great. And how would somebody get in touch with you? What's the best way for that?
So we have our phone number and email. So our number is 480-742-1010. Or else you can please feel free to email me directly. It's ZACHARY@REAVANTI.com. And I'm happy to answer any questions that they may have. Again, just talk on the phone if they just want some more information for now, and just sort of explain anything. I'm happy to provide any information I can.
Thank you. And then you guys have a great website that gives a little bit of tips also. And unfortunately, you guys won't be here to hear his full presentation that he'll be giving. Zach has a lot of information on just how to take the stress level down and to make this not as dreadful of a situation as it really can be. Is there anything else you would like to share today?
Yeah, I think again, it's never hurts just to start small. Ask some questions. I think it always feels good to be proactive and know that you're ahead of the game. So if you're feeling like you might even do it in the next couple years, I don't think it hurts to start thinking now.
I agree. Go ahead and share your contact information one more time for anybody who didn't have a pen and paper, or you can always reach out to me as well, and I can get you guys in touch with Zach, but go ahead.
So again, our number is 480-742-1010. Or you can email me at ZACHARY, so Zachary, at REAVANTI.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here
Thank you
today.
for
I
having
really
me.
appreciate the business that you guys have. Thank you to you and your mom for coming out here to Arizona.
It's been so fun, so fun.
Good. Wonderful. Well, thank you, and thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Retirement's Next Steps podcast. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach me at 303-204-4432 or via email jill@dgeorgepartners.com. If you would like to attend one of our Retirement's Next Steps workshops, you can find the schedule on our website, Templeton-Haislip.com. Make sure to subscribe to Realtor Jill Templeton-Haislip on YouTube and follow the Retirement's Next Steps channel. You can also follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn. Wishing you a happy and fulfilling retirement. We look forward to connecting with you soon.